why are we afraid of doing the job that we dreamed of doing?
Totally.
Whether it's large or small, it seems weird to want to replace yourself. So at this first opportunity, right? I want to hire a manager. Seems weird.
Yeah, this is I think ties into, like, a lot of statistically, like, entrepreneurs come from immigrant families or are immigrants themselves, um, which, like, I'm not sure of everybody's experience. I'm sure this is not like like, um, people who start companies and are immigrants are not a monolith, but, statistically, we can map that to kind of like the economic situations for a lot of immigrants that come to the US, and, like, we can see that a lot of the "I'm gonna start a business" can come from a sense of, "I'm trying to create a financial vehicle, for me and my family so that um, kind of we have some stability where there has historically been none. Um, and I think to the idea of like some of it's greed, right? Like I just want more and more and more. Some of it's hubris of not believing that anyone else could, like take what I have. I think a lot of that can come from these more, em- you know, empathetic, like things we can sympathize with of like at one point not having a lot, right? And so always feeling a sense of scarcity, even when there is a lot of now economic control and power, um, which I think is like something interesting to kind of examine in ourselves, right? Like to your point about really deciding what's the goal and knowing when maybe we've achieved that goal and we can maybe help someone else achieve their own goals. Like kind of a give back mentality. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, to the point of like wanting to create financial stability for yourself and your family and essentially generational wealth is kind
Hmm.
of the long term goal with that. I think that's a great ambition.
Hmm.
It's really hard. And that's why I kind of think that a lot of the reason that you may see overlap between immigrants and entrepreneurs is those people and their families were willing to take a huge risk. So
Right.
they can tackle risk. They feel very comfortable with risk.
Yeah.
Translates perfectly into the most risky profession, like being an entrepreneur, you're rolling the dice. You're dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of obstacles. Um, I guess to kind of finish off my thoughts about being small, we're always reacting. We're
Mhm.
always reacting to the market. There's always opportunities to improve. And so I think that there's always this kind of fear again of what's going to happen. If we take
Yeah.
this down to the scale of a small ice cream shop, things could be going great. You're like, your sales could be amazing. Very seasonal business, but I love ice cream. So year round. But it is outside of my control if another ice cream shop opens a block away.
Mhm.
That is going to have a devastating impact on my business, regardless of what I do. Like, I could invest more in marketing, or I could, create new flavors. Like, I could do
Mhm.
everything I could to beat them in the market. No matter what, it's probably going to put a dent in the business. So it's
Right.
like, I think even at that small scale, it's like, okay, well, how do we prevent against that? It's outside of our control. We
Mhm.
don't just want to give up and accept that. The best way to prevent it is to franchise, to say, we're going to open up multiple ice cream shops so that we're decreasing that risk.
Yeah. So that we get to that other block before someone else.
Yeah. Or if
Yeah.
somebody comes on our block, this isn't the only block we're invested in. We
Yeah, it's
have
like
five
a
other
diversity.
blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insulation.
Yeah, we can absorb that blow a lot easier.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's really interesting to think too that you bring up an example of like an ice cream store in like a block away. Um, I a couple of years ago started doing a lot of research into coffee shops, not because I wanted to start a coffee shop but because I was really interested in like um what the differences are between starting a tech startup and starting like a normal, like physical business, Um, and what's really interesting is in a city or a certain area or like a series of blocks, um, adding more coffee shops doesn't actually have a very significant impact on any single one of their revenues up to, like, a certain point. It actually sometimes increases them because the visibility of having more coffee shops makes people want coffee more, and they go to both places. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, super
Or
fascinating.
it becomes a market that people
Yeah,
come to.